Welcome into the NCD1 men's basketball preview. I'm Dave Richmond along with Bubba Rosenbaum. How are you, man?
Doing well, Dave. How are you?
Great. Very excited at the time. In fact, we've got a very special guest to kick things off for our D1 preview.
Absolutely. Quite a season for the App State Mountaineers in year two of the Dustin Kerns era. And, Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Always great to be on here. Appreciate you guys having me on.
No doubt, Coach. I was thinking this morning, knowing you were coming on, just the excitement now. Everybody thinks they can make the big dance. It's kind of like when you have, I know the baseball playoffs are going on right now. Everybody in spring training thinks they have a shot to make the playoffs in the World Series. I know it's kind of like that right now with basketball. It's a great time, right, as you get underway.
No doubt, no doubt. And there's people around here thinking we'll be playing Lakers in the NBA championship this year with so many returners. So, everybody's feeling good about their team for sure.
Coach, before we talk about your roster, one of the things that this program has been built on is the taking the stairs mentality. App State makes it to big dance for the first time in a couple decades. And just talk about the mindset and approach of your team. Have you noticed an even greater hunger and the abilities to suppress any type of complacency since what you accomplished back in March?
Yeah, and I think that certainly the take the stairs mentality has really helped because it's a no excuse. It's a hungry, humble, mindset. And certainly I've talked to our team about this. We're not defending anything. First of all, the Sun Belt is loaded. The Sun Belt's a tremendous league. It's a league where success is fleeting. There's been a lot of different teams, and Georgia State's been very, very good consistently. A lot of different teams. Little Rock is there's been Louisiana. There's just been different teams, and so we can try to recreate some things. We can try to recreate our chemistry and recreate some harmony and some rhythm and stuff. But it's a new season. It's a new team. We've got to go right back down to the bottom of the staircase, and we got to climb it again.
No doubt. And Dave, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, for Coach, for the very fact that you make a great point. Is obviously you have players coming back, but just what happened last year is last year. I guess you have to have a quick memory, so to speak, where a short memory, I should say, where you obviously want to build what you had last year, but you don't want to live in the past.
No, absolutely. And I think that, listen, expectations are good. When we got here a couple years ago, our program had no expectations. So expectations are good, but they can't be our focus. And our focus has got to be the commitment, the habits, the work. And everybody loves to win, right? But you've got to love the preparation that goes into winning and really maintaining that same edge, that same toughness, that same, killer instinct that what it really takes. And so, it's a new season. We've got new guys in our locker room. We've got two new freshmen. And so it's just it's really a fresh start for everyone, right? But there's a different level of expectations on our program because of the way we ended, and then with so many returning players. I mean, I think it's something like 98% of our scoring or something like that. I don't really get caught up into that too much. But once again, expectations are a good thing, but they can't be our focus.
Coach, you talk about everything you have returning. I know guys like Forrest, Delph, Almonacey, Gregory. Touch on those guys and some of those pieces that have played such a tremendous amount of basketball.
Yeah, we've got some older guys back, especially all Sun Belt guards and Almonacey and Forrest and Delph, and then you've got a really good, Swiss Army knife type guy and Donovan Gregory does a lot of things well. But certainly, Delph and Almonacey and Forrest have been through it. They've seen a lot of plays. Nothing's really a surprise to them. So they finish well. I think they've got a great chemistry together. I think that they play well together. I think they also know how to play. I think they're very, smart basketball players. And like I said, they've just seen a lot of plays. They've been involved in a lot of minutes, and then you've got like I said, a Donovan Gregory who's a key piece for us, who just does a lot of different stuff well, and was up for defensive player of the year last year, and certainly having him have another year of growth is important.
In addition to those four, talk about your front court. Received a question on Facebook, earlier today when we released the news that, we were going to be talking to you early this afternoon, and had a question from Josh Glenn, loyal App State supporter. Just if you would talk about your depth in the front court.
Yeah, Josh has been a great Mountaineer supporter, and so always glad to answer a question for him. We've got certainly Donovan Gregory's been a front court player for us. James Lewis is back. R.J. Duhart, who really was a key piece at the end of the season last year, is back and played a lot of minutes, including 39 minutes in the championship game. C.J. Huntley was a freshman last year and has had a really, really good offseason. And C.J. Huntley has really, really improved and is playing good basketball for us. And then you've got Sasha Gluskov, who was another freshman last year, who has gained 30 pounds. And so his development has really increased as well. So we've got some guys there in the front court, and they've gained some weight and gained some strength, and also just gained some experience and confidence.
Coach, earlier you were talking about preparation. Can you talk about, I know that Bubba and myself, all three of us on right now doing this interview are coaches. Talk about as far as the player development. I know that you have to, as far as teaching the game, how much fun do you have doing that, like practice and otherwise?
Oh, I love practice. That's my favorite part. I don't really enjoy the games. I love practice. I love the preparation. I love the scheming and the player development piece. I think that everybody's different, right? And so I think we focus a lot on the player development piece, especially in the off season. We really enjoy seeing our guys get better and seeing their development. And that's something that we really emphasize and are invested in. So we love seeing their growth and seeing the statistics grow, and then really identifying what this player needs to get better at, and then seeing it happen. And then, but certainly the practices. Now we've got an older team, and so as much as I love practice, we've got to kind of scale it back a little bit. Even right now in October, we've got an older team, we've got older bodies, and certainly we can't wear ourselves out right now in October, and we've got some depth, and so we've got to maintain the roster that way.
Coach, you mentioned some of the new pieces. Obviously, you have so much returning, but tell fans and folks out there, what do the Mountaineers have that's new to campus and maybe could contribute fairly early on?
Well, we've got we pride ourselves in player development. So, some kid that came on late in the season last year, Xavier Brown from California, he's really had a very good offseason. And so even though he's a returner, he's still a lot better. And he's a guy that right now can see, really contributed and has really continued to get better. Michael Leeds is another kid that, got some minutes last year, but is another guy that's gotten better and improved. Our two new signees are Terrence Harcum from Butner, North Carolina, one of the top scorers in the state's history, and a really dynamic player and a guy that can score the ball. And then we signed a kid from named Chris Mantis from Lowell, Indiana, 6'7" wing who can really, really shoot the basketball, and he's got a high IQ. But those two guys are still learning college basketball, and they've really jumped into practice with some 22, 23-year-old men. And so there's some growth with that. And certainly we think that they're going to be good basketball players around here. But, certainly all early on, there's growing pains with any young guys. And, but certainly they've had some good days, and those good days will add up.
Coach, what are some of the things, last season, a lot of success, especially there at the end, where you really put it all together and went on to win the SBC tournament championship. But just talk about the areas that you want to see the most growth in your club going into 21-22.
Yeah, and so I think that we've got to be a deeper team. All right, I think we've got to find a way to. I think last year last year was a hard evaluation, a hard barometer in a lot of ways for anything. However, we found ourselves down a lot, and we fortunately came back. I think we're second in the country in the last 2 years with 15 wins after a halftime deficit. So 15 halftime deficit wins, and so that's a positive. However, I think part of our growth is not being in that position a lot. I think our depth should help us there. I think being in that position sometimes really hurts your depth because you're going to rely and kind of go with those starters to get you back in the game. And so I think that that's a growth for us is to not come from behind so much. It's basketball. We're going to get people's. It's a very competitive, so it's going to happen, but maybe it just doesn't happen so much. I think the other thing is, I think we're something like, I don't know the exact number, but I could. We've got a really, really high winning percentage when we score over 75 points a game in our last 2 years. It's something like 18-5, right? It may be even better than that. And the flip side, we're really, really good when our opponents score 65 or lower, and we're something like 25-5 or something like that. And so we average 70 points a game. We've got to find a way to get those extra 5. And we've identified some stuff that we feel like can help us get those, quote, 6 more points a game. And so I think that those are the next steps for our program. Like let's average 76 points a game, because obviously the numbers show when we do that we win a lot. And so those are some growths for our team.
Coach, talk about your schedule. We obviously alluded to a few times you're in the Sun Belt Conference, but talk about your preseason non-conference schedule. I saw you had Iona coming up, obviously in a few weeks in November.
Yeah, so we want to challenge ourselves in the non-conference, and I certainly think we've done this. I think this is one of the most challenging schedules we've been able to put together here. We've got a series with Iona, who's CBS has the #1 mid-major program in the country. I thought when Almonacci came back for his COVID year, it was really important for me as the head coach to get him back close to home, and so we were able to start a series, with Iona. So they'll return, to Boone in a couple of years. We started another series with Furman, who has been a very, very good mid-major program on the road. Both of these are on the road. We've got Charlotte, who I think will be a really, really good team. They dove into the transfer portal really well, and they've got a lot of new faces. And we've got a return game with East Tennessee State, which is a longtime rival who's always very, really good. We've got Hartford coming here, who was in the NCAA tournament last year. And so our non-conference is very challenging. And then we've got a very good tournament in Fort Myers, which is really a mid-major invitational. We opened with Delaware, who's one of the top teams in the Colonial. And so it's just a very good schedule. And then we got Duke and North Carolina. So, go big or go home. And so we've really challenged ourselves to a really, really competitive non-conference schedule.
If you would talk about Sun Belt action, and the Sun Belt, like you said, there's been not really anyone that can dominate that league. So much parity. So tell us about the SBC.
Do I have to? I tell you what, that gives me heartburn right now thinking about the Sun Belt. I mean, it is. I think it's going to be one of the best mid-major conferences in the country this year, if not the best. I think that. It is so many. Georgia State returns their whole team. Arkansas State returns their whole team. I mean, Louisiana has got a lot of talent. South Alabama is going to be really, really good. I mean, they're well coached. Troy's got everybody back. Really well coached team. Texas State's got everybody back. Like I could just keep going, right? And then Coastal. I mean, Coach Gillis has won a million games. You've got Texas Arlington with a new coach. So they're going to be re-energized. Louisiana Monroe, does a really, really good job. Georgia Southern, Coach Berg is a very good coach, and he's in year 2. And so usually in year 2, it usually make a big step. And so it's a nightmare to think about. And but Little Rock's got Marriage back. Little Rock just won the league a couple years ago. I mean, just keep going down the line. I really think this is like when you look at the Big Ten and the ACC and just every single night. I mean, that's just the way the Sun Belt feels. And it's really good players, really good coaches. I think this is going to be. I know I've only been in the league a couple years, but from what I'm hearing from other coaches around the league, they think this is. I talked to a guy that's been in the league 9 years. He says it's the best it's ever been. I was hoping.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about that.
I was hoping to keep down my lunch that I had, but you guys opened up Sunbelt, talking about Sunbelt. Now
I wanted to ask you about another thing that's been tough for basketball, and certainly, I guess, football as well, is the transfer portal, kind of like what I call a free agency for college sports, especially those two in particular. With basketball, it seems like to be the one where there's the most kids transferring, it seems like. What do you think about the transfer portal? And I guess it's something we just have to get used to.
Yeah, certainly as coaches, we adapt. There's been rule changes over the years. And so, you know what? I think all of us coaches there'll be some trial and error with the portal on both ends, from the player perspective and the coaching perspective. And so, we're going to stay true to who we are, which means we're open to everything. We did not take a transfer this year. That doesn't mean we won't in the future. But certainly we want to do our best to really build a program and not just a team every year. And I know some things are out of your control, but I think right now it's really too early to make a real comment on how it's going to be, because there's going to be some trial and error on both sides, the players and the coaches, and so I think that it'll probably take 3 or 4 years for the portal to really kind of gauge. I think some players may learn, maybe it's not, the portal's really easy to get in, it's hard to get out. Maybe coaches are, I think they're, hey, do we go to the portal in the spring? Like, I think it's just really still in the evaluation stage. And so, but for, I definitely think that, it's just like with rules on the court, with timeouts or with advancing in the half court. The game's going to continue to evolve, and so do we go 4 quarter? Like, the game's just going to keep evolving as coaches and players. We just got to adapt.
Coach, since we're on the topic of recruiting, with the success you've had in the 2+ seasons there on the mountain, and just talk about what you've noticed on the recruiting trail, going to the big dance. Obviously, that anybody that's seeking to play basketball at the Division I level, or other levels for that matter, is wanting to advance to postseason play. So just talk about the success you've had and how you've seen it pay off on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, I think we've been able to get involved with a little bit of quote a better talent because of success and the visibility. But we've still got to get the right talent, and I think that have tried to study maybe why some teams have had success and they weren't able to sustain it. And a lot of the consistent comments were they chased better talent, but it wasn't the right fit. So for us, we've got to just chase the right talent. It might be the same talent, all right, but I think that we've got to stay true to who we are and focus on the things that we value. But we've certainly, it's been easy. It's opened some more doors for us. Maybe swimming in the new pool with a lot more competition. But I think that it's helped things around here with recruiting our own players, with some facility things and some infrastructure things. And so that's helped as well when you talk about now recruiting your own players.
Coach, I have one final question for you. Speaking of facilities, are there things that for those Mountaineer fans and obviously that want to see your program compete at the highest level and make the big dance every year, are there things that you guys can do there at App State to improve your chances of going to the big dance every single year?
Yeah, I think David starts with any elite college basketball program has an elite atmosphere, and so we've got a beautiful arena here in the home center, and so we've got to get people in it, and I think that we've done our part. Last year when I had 85 people here, and I think that maybe we had some games here that could have possibly went another direction. We lost 3 games here by 2 points that maybe if we had 7,000 people in it, that would have willed us to a win and just created the energy. That's not saying that was true, but it could have. And I think any elite basketball program has an elite atmosphere. And for us to have an elite atmosphere, we got to have elite attendance. And so I think just simply that our App State Nation has got to really, we got to fill the home center and make this one of the toughest places to play in the country and the league and et cetera, to really take it to another level and have an elite program and a consistent program. It just starts right there. We've got other great stuff, but that is a critical component for our next step, is creating an elite atmosphere.
Definitely agree with you there, Coach. The football program has put such tremendous atmospheres on display there at Kid Brewer Stadium. And hey, you get to go inside, be warm, and watch some excellent basketball with the Mountaineers. So no reason for folks not to get out and support your program.
Well, I agree with you. I appreciate it. When I got here, I heard a lot of, "Hey, Coach, if you win, people will come." And in year one, pre-COVID, we had a 70% increase of attendance, and we were really starting to have some really great game atmospheres and attendance, and so last year, like I said, was hard to evaluate. Period. Right, but I think that this year, when we talk about expectations, I know for us, our expectation is for us to be really well supported and have an elite atmosphere.
Coach, good luck to you this season. Obviously, we hope that to see you back in the big dance. Great to have one of the North Carolina teams, obviously multiple North Carolina teams in the tournament, and in this case with the Mountaineers. Good luck to you, and hope to have another visit soon.
Hey, Bub, always great to be on. Thanks so much. Go Mountaineers, take the stairs.
Hi, this is ESPN's Dave Lamont, and you're listening to the Sports Objective Podcast, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates.